Hey, welcome to the Back Chatter Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Brian. I am joined today by my co-host, as always, a man whose team has made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. Adam, how you doing today?
I don't know why I didn't expect you to bring it up. So I got really excited when you just brought it up now. So, like, I was at a low point last week or whenever that was. And now I'm not, I wouldn't say I'm at a high point, but I am feeling confident. I suddenly believe that the Boston Celtics are going to win their 18th championship this year.
Wow. Okay. Do you remember how you felt a year ago when we were at this same point? Because I think people thought the Celtics were probably the favorites then as well.
Yeah, I felt like the Boston Celtics were going to win their 18th championship.
So you're
At
just
that point.
you're setting yourself up again for a 10 out of 10 or a negative 10 out of 10.
Oh, my hopes are so up now. I'm picturing the parade. I'm wondering if I can go to the parade. We're trying to figure this stuff out. We're counting some chickens over here. We're counting them.
Meanwhile, we've talked before about my emotional hedging, both on the golf course and sometimes with a little sports bet here and there. I'm not proud of the fact that I occasionally emotionally hedge. I don't like to do it against my hometown teams. I like to do it even more against, like, say, a fantasy lineup that I'm going to lose at. But overall, I think you're pretty disgusted with that practice.
Yeah, no, you will bet against the Celtics so that you feel better when the Celtics lose, and I find that immoral. It's not. It's not that I wouldn't do it; it's wrong. It's a lesser way of going about your life, and it upsets me. It upsets me that you do it, and I will never do it. I will never bet against one of my teams. I won't always bet on my teams, but I will never bet against one of my teams and be comforted by money when my team loses. That's mercenary. That's it's a shallow way of thinking about the world.
Would you ever make a bet, say, mid-season, a futures bet on a team other than your own team if you thought the odds were good?
I haven't,
Okay.
but I would. I would do that. And then but that's not emotionally hedging. I love sports betting. So I would bet on some team that I didn't care about if I thought they really were going to make a run. But it would only upset me if that then came up against one of my teams and I had any split interest whatsoever. So it wouldn't, even if I backed into it, it wouldn't give me any hedge. It would just upset me.
Well, you're going to be upset by the proposition I could potentially find myself in, because back in January, I really liked the odds that the Denver Nuggets had for the championship, and I did put a $25 bet down on the Nuggets to win the NBA Finals, 25 to win 350. So, not life-changing money, but $25 is almost the most I'll put on any bet. Like, I'm not a big bettor at all.
Sure.
And now I'm in the position where if the Nuggets beat the Lakers, which I desperately want to happen because I just hate the Lakers as a Celtics fan.
I want the Lakers-Celtics matchup, but continue.
Do you? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So, well,
10 or 1. I want 10 or 1. I want to beat the Lakers or I want to lose the Lakers.
Okay.
And it's going to be horrible or great. But continue.
There's a chance that I might kind of moonwalk. That's the word I was looking for. I could moonwalk into a situation where it's Celtics Nuggets in the finals. Either my favorite team wins, or I have a $350 consolation prize. Let me be clear. I would gladly burn the 350 for the Celtics championship. I wouldn't even have a tinge of sadness for the $350 lost. But it's kind of nice if I have that. So that will make the tears a little less salty if that should happen. But you don't like that.
I don't. At least you came by that one honestly. Like, if you were now betting the Lakers or the Nuggets to win the championship, or God forbid the Heat, that would be, again, it's immoral. I think at least in the Old Testament that would have been banned at one point. But so I wouldn't do it, but I won't resent you that one the way I would if you bet it now.
Fair enough. Fair enough. This segment has been brought to you by our newest sponsor, FanDuel Sportsbook. Use code Bag Chatter Golf to get nothing when you sign up today.
They should sponsor us. They should, because you know what, we had some good picks for the Masters, and
Yeah.
we know what we're talking about.
We 100% know what we're talking about. I know what we're talking about today, and that is your U.S. Open local qualifier played last week at Rolling Green Country Club. I was there not only as a witness, but as a caddy. The weather was beautiful. Spirits were up. Are you ready to talk about that today?
Yeah. No, it was a good time, and I'm gonna up front thank you for being there for that event. It's not an easy thing to ask a friend. It's like asking a friend to help you move. You know, you came, you didn't golf, you just walked the property with me two separate times. So I felt very appreciative of you.
Is that something that you would potentially do for me if I asked you to caddy for me in something?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Okay.
I would do that. I mean, it would depend on the event. Like, I'm not going to caddy for a gap match, Brian. No. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But like, yeah, if you were in something you really cared about, 100%.
But if I didn't care about it, that's where you're like, no, I'm not going to work for you for 4
I need
hours.
you to care at least. I need you to be emotionally invested. Like, I need new competitive Brian to be fully engaged, or else I can't get my competitive juices engaged.
Listen, new competitive Brian is a real thing. It is real and it is spectacular. I am here. I came off the 1-over best round ever and did really well in my gap match. Then I came off of that and shot a 74 4-over at Honeybrook a few days ago. Still ruining the doubles I took on 7 and 16 with a wedge in hand. Just disgusted by that. Sculled both of them over the green. Competitive Brian's here, and we're going to see him again soon. We're going to talk about that at the end of this podcast. But tell me about the night before and the morning of the qualifier. Were you equally nervous both? Were you more nervous the morning of? How did that work?
I was extremely nervous the night before. I felt like, what have I gotten myself into? I felt butterflies in my stomach. I felt like I took some like practice swings in my living room, like analyzing things, and I felt a little shaky over those practice swings. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know why I did this. Then morning of, I woke up a little bit more calm. But the night before, the jitters the night before were rough.
So jitters the night before, but morning of, still a little nervous, but like happy that you woke up feeling better than when you went to bed.
Yeah, I went to bed almost dreading waking up because then now I have to go play on this thing. And then by the time I got to the course, I hit my first few balls on the range, and they all were like good shots, and I was like, oh, I know how to golf. That was the thought that came through my mind, was like, I know how to golf. So I did have a good practice session actually the day before. Felt like I found something with my irons, and again, when I came back the next day and those were still there, that thought was still working. I was like, I know how to golf. I can absolutely go play well in this. And my nerves just like almost completely dissipated on the driving range, which was a happy surprise.
I will say for me, I was not really nervous for you the night before. Wasn't really thinking about it that much. But then when I woke up, I was actually a little bit nervous for you. I thought maybe we would record something on the way to the course. We actually never ended up taking out the microphone, but I did record just a couple minutes of my thoughts before I picked you up. And I haven't played this for you yet, so here's what I was thinking on my way to pick you up.
All right, I am driving to pick up Adam, and we are a little over an hour away, hour and 15 minutes away from his tee time. Whew, feeling a little nervous for him. I'm excited. I think the day is going to go well. You know, what do I think he's going to shoot today? I don't know. You know, what's the line between that was good, that was fine, that was okay, versus that was a disaster, that was not good. Probably somewhere around like 85 and a half, maybe. You know, if you're shooting 86, you're making some bad swings. You're getting some penalty shots. You're three putting and all that sort of stuff. So I think I signed for an 85 right now. We shot 82 in the practice round. We'll see. Things that I'm most afraid of today, obviously these are not things that I would voice to Adam, which is why I'm recording this when I'm alone in my car. Number one, I'm afraid of the shanks, to be honest. Adam is a heel-biased player, and you just never know when the shanks are going to show up. So that's the number one thing I'm afraid of, and really hoping they don't show up at all. If they do, you know, I don't want that getting in his head, of course. So we're gonna move our strike point to the toe as much as we can,
I was thinking
and
about
try
this.
to pretend like
Yeah,
it's not a
I
big
can
deal.
tell.
Second thing I'm afraid of is just a really big number, because sometimes, you know, you put up an 8, a 9, a 10 on a hole or something like that. It's really hard to get that out of your head. So, you know, we're gonna try to avoid the big numbers. We're not going out there trying to make bogeys. We're going out there trying to make pars. But you know, knowing when to maybe opt for something a little more conservative to take a big number out of play, that's going to be something I'm going to be aware of. But other than that, I'm excited. I'm excited, and I'm going to do my best to help him find every ball, to help him stay loose, and have as much fun as possible.
So there you go. That's what I was thinking. Any thoughts on that?
It's about what I was thinking.
Okay.
You know, I was like, I don't want any big numbers. I don't want to get the shanks, because I've gotten the shanks in a USGA event before, and it scarred me for 3 years. So, those are my same thoughts.
Yep. I know you said the range session went pretty well. You weren't allowed to hit driver on that range, so that was unfortunate. But everything else went well. You went over to the putting green too, thinking maybe the greens would be running a little faster than they were even in the practice round. How did the putting session go?
It was good, and the greens were, I think, throughout the day, they were faster than the practice round, and they were faster than when I'd been on the practice green the day before, or 2 days before, or whatever it was. But overall, it was not radically faster. It was faster on already fast greens, but it wasn't what I suspected it might be.
Yeah. All right, so we get to the first tee, playing with Connor and Ryan. Your name gets called by the Gap Golf official now on the tee, Mr. Shorey. How are you feeling?
I felt great at that point.
Yeah?
I felt great. I felt weird that I hadn't swung a driver yet, because I could not hit one on the range, so I didn't like that. So I was only worried about that. But I didn't have. I've in smaller events had things where I felt like, "Ooh, I hope I hit the ball here." You know,
Yeah.
you know, I hope I don't top it. I felt like, no, I knew I was hitting the face of the club, and I tugged it a little bit. But overall, for a first swing of the biggest event of my life, I felt almost no nerves whatsoever, and that actually continued throughout the day. Which was just an unexpected thing, but was fantastic. So,
Yeah, I think we are going to sort of go hole by hole here, just to kind of tell the story of the round. So if you're into that, keep listening. If not, then I don't know why you're listening to the podcast. But here we go.
So I tugged that first drive into the rough, and I had 188 is the number that sticks in my head.
I think so.
And so I was between a 5 and a 6. That's what I remember. Between a 5 and a 6, and went down to a 6, aimed way at the middle of the green on this big, green that runs left, and I flushed a 6-iron. And it was on the exact line I wanted, and it actually ran through the green just barely.
Yeah.
So I couldn't believe that. From 188, I think it was like 200 over the green, and I went over with a 6-iron, which is not normal for me. So I'm like, what did I have to do? Did I have to hit a 7-iron there? I was just confused by it, but I did. I hit it great.
Yeah, you did. It was in the rough, and there was a little bit of hurt wind, I thought. But as a caddy, and you can more than relate to this because you spent years and years actually being a caddy. But as a caddy, I'm chiming in. I'm trying to help. And after you give input as a caddy, you kind of hope that it works out. You hope you didn't steer the player the wrong way, obviously. And so there's all these like tiny little data points, not really, a lot of them not very significant, but like on that hole, I felt like I was kind of pushing you towards a more conservative target and kind of right of the pin there. And not that I wanted you to pull it, but that's one where if it's like, oh, if you pull it, but because you had a conservative target, it's still on the green, then that's like, ooh, that's a positive data point for me.
Yeah.
But you had a conservative target, and you, like you said, you flushed it straight at it. I don't know that the line ended up being what could put you in a bad spot. I think it was more just the fact that you were over the
If I had the right club, that would have come way to the left and been a great shot. If it had been 6 yards less, I would have had 15 feet for birdie, and instead I had a tricky downhill swinging chip that I put a fine effort on, but the downhill, it just ran way away from me. I had probably 25 feet for par, knocked it up to a foot, and made my bogey.
Yep. And it was like, okay, we missed the green, we paid the tax, it was a bogey. That's you made some good swings, so that was a very good sign about your game heading to the second tee.
Second hole, I lost my drive right. Only time all day I feel like maybe I was in really tall grass, so it was like, but drew an okay lie after the last one, so a little downwind. This is the hole that I tripled in the practice round, chipping one into the bunker from behind the green. So one of the things I thought about the entire time between the practice round and the round was don't be over the screen again.
Yeah.
So I was in long rough, and so I went down a club, but went down a club both to get it out and because I didn't want to go over. Absolutely flushed it again, and the long rough didn't take an ounce off of it. Perfect line right at the flag, kind of cutting out of this long stuff. It hopped probably pin high and went over into almost exactly the same spot that I had in the practice round, within 2 feet of it.
Yeah.
And then we debated whether to go high with the pitch shot or to bump it into the hill. I tried to bump it into the hill in the practice round, chipped it into a bunker, made triple, decided I'm going to bump it again, and I hit almost exactly the same shot, and it came up 1 foot short of that same bunker.
Yeah.
And so, but just by a miracle, it did not go in this bunker, and I once again 2-putted for bogey.
Yep. Yeah, it was like, and you knew going in, it was like, we know we got to stay below the holes. But I guess what you didn't count on was absolutely flushing both of those irons on the first 2 holes out of not the best lies. And
I just hit them as well as I could hit them. Truly as well as I could hit both of those irons. And
might have been adrenaline, too.
Right. Third hole's a par 3. In the practice round, we had realized, because we didn't know the course, obviously, the right side of this green runs very aggressively to the left. The player in front of me, Connor, he hit one right on the right side of the green, and it funneled down to 15 feet. So I aimed at the very right side of the screen, pin tucked back left, and I just almost double-crossed myself a little bit and pull-hooked it a good bit, but I was aimed so far right. I thought it was gone. I thought it was going to dive into this deep, deep bunker. It landed about 8 feet from the hole and stuck an inch from its spot, and so it turned out to be a great shot, even though it's not where I was aiming.
Yeah. It left you with, what did you say, like 8 to 12 feet for birdie?
Yeah, about that.
Something like that. We both looked at it. We kind of agreed on the read. Turned out to be not a good read.
Yeah.
The
No,
putt moved left. We thought it was going to move right.
yeah, it moved the opposite direction than I thought, and felt like a missed opportunity. Even though I understand that maybe a 10-foot or whatever it was is probably a 30% proposition. Regardless, it still felt like a missed opportunity to get one back at that point.
Yeah. So going into the fourth hole, Connor, I think, went maybe par bogey par. Ryan, I think, went par bogey. They're playing fine. They're playing good. You're playing fine. On the fourth hole, you and Connor both make bogey, but in slightly different ways.
So my ball, I'll tell you my 5 shots real quick. I hit a high fade right. I knew that was the place to miss, so it was an anti-left swing, and it went right. I left myself with this downhill lie out of the rough. I kind of hit it thin, but it ran up and left me 25 feet for birdie, maybe. And so Connor, he hit a great drive. Then he hit a wedge that looked perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, looked completely perfect. It's up the hill a bit, and we start walking, and suddenly a ball appears, and it's Connor's ball, and it's rolling back to his feet. This thing spun back off the green and rolled back 75 yards? Is that a fair number?
60, 70 yards, yeah.
And then he hit another one, landed 3 feet short of the pin, spun back 75 yards back to his feet, and then he, not finally just being conservative, I think, knocked it 30 feet past the pin, gets up right in the heart from 30 feet to save bogey.
Yeah.
I had my putt was fairly severely downhill. I ran it by probably 5 feet. Left myself in a good position, right to left putt up the hill, and just burned the left edge with it and made another bogey, unfortunately.
Yeah. If that was the first, if you look back at all the putts, that was like, gosh, I really should have hit that putt. That was I think the first one there, right?
I think on the third too, that the 10-footer for birdie was the first time I was like, oof, that's a missed opportunity. Then on 4 to back that up with a missed 5-footer for par hurt.
Yeah. In terms of how you're feeling at this point through 4 holes, is there any difference between when you stood on the first tee to standing on the 5th tee in terms of, like, can I hang with these guys? Do I look like I fit in with these guys? Are these guys, like, much better than me? Was any of that stuff in your head?
A little bit, but not dramatically. Like, I think watching Connor, who's a very accomplished player, D1 player, played in the USAM last year, watching him, obviously he looks great when he still makes bogey after all that, but watching him do the things you dread doing, that's what you're dreading, is the ball coming back to your feet, the whatever it is. And he just kind of calmly went through that and was fine, and it wasn't embarrassing. It's just golf. And so maybe, if anything, I felt better about being with these very accomplished players by that point.
Yeah. 5th hole is a par 4, and you tug your drive left. Mm-hmm. This is your 4th, I would say, mediocre drive of the day.
Yeah.
At this point, you're kind of like, what the heck? I'm supposed to be a generational driver of the golf ball. And
No, I quickly knew what was going on, in the sense that the driver swing and the iron swings are different swings. Mm-hmm. And I felt like I had found something with my irons the day before. And any time in my life that I've ever found something with irons, the driver goes away. And when I find something with driver, the irons go away, because they're different swings. And so matching them up is the difficulty. And so I knew what was going on. I knew that I was sort of putting iron swings on drivers. And they weren't, and it wasn't great. It was not horrible. But, so I didn't lose a ball all day driving. So, but I was not hitting the ball like I've hit it all year. Yeah. And so, but I could kind of tell that was going on, but I was flushing my irons like I haven't all year either.
Yeah. I might suggest to you having one really ugly swing for your irons as I do, but then also having a completely separate, way too inside takeaway, different but also still ugly driver swing that's really not connected to the irons. You might want to
Sure.
consider that. I don't know.
I'll think about it. I will take that under advisement for sure.
Your iron shot into that fifth green was not one of your better ones. I believe you
Well,
tugged it a little left into the bunker.
I actually hit it exactly where I was aiming again. I tried to cut it. It did not cut out of the rough.
That's right.
But for the third time in the round, I took less club than I thought I needed and hit it over. I hit a 7-iron that I thought would just kind of get to the front of the green in this safe spot, and it carried, again, it went almost 200 yards. And so I flushed it again. It didn't cut because it was out of pretty thick rough, and it went into a back bunker. I hit a fine bunker shot out of there. So once again, left myself maybe 18 feet for par. Mm-hmm. I hit a fairly poor first putt, left myself probably 4.5 feet for par, and then missed the par putt again. So
Yeah.
another I missed the bogey putt again. Yeah. So I had a 3-putt double there, first double of the day, and that one hurt. That one stung because I just, again, it shouldn't have been a par. I hit a bad drive. I hit an iron shot that missed the green, but to 3-putt from 18 feet was painful.
Yeah. Brings us to the sixth hole. It is a long par 3. You hit a great 4-iron into it during the practice round, but when we got to the tee box, they had moved us up one tee box, and so I think we decided it was a 6-iron.
It was a 6-iron. I just hit it. Was the right club. I hit it a tiny bit behind the ball. It was not a chunk, but it was just a hair. I knew it took off on the right trajectory, but it landed short, and I knew it in the air that it wasn't getting there. Hit a really good pitch shot, kind of a long. It was probably 35 yards. It's a big green.
Yeah.
Back to probably 5-6 feet.
5 feet, yeah.
And guess what, Brian? I missed it.
Yeah.
I missed it. Tapped in for bogey.
That was first of all, on the chip shot, which was a great shot. That was the first time both of your playing competitors kind of, I wouldn't say the first time they acknowledged you, because you've obviously had talked to them on the first tee, but there wasn't a whole lot of chatter between anybody. But I don't know if you even remember that, but when you hit that shot, both of them were like, great shot, which I kind of thought was cool because I was happy that they were.
I'm not sure I noticed it there. I did a couple other times, but I don't think that was one of the times I noticed. But it's good to know. It's good to know.
Yep, that was the first time they did it. The 5-foot putt, as I recall, it moved right on us, and that was not what we were thinking it was.
Yeah, I had it as a right edge putt, and it moved right, and I don't know.
Yeah, at this point, there's not really been a time where you and I have disagreed on a read or anything. But I've kind of confirmed a couple of bad reads from you. So as a caddy, I'm just kind of feeling like, all right, not really helping out a lot here. But, you took your bogey.
You're not telling me to do anything wrong either. So, because I'm telling you, I think we pretty much went with a method of, I was saying what I thought it was first.
Yeah.
I wasn't, I don't know if there was one time all day where I said, what do you see? I was like, I got this right edge.
Yeah.
Is that crazy? And a couple times you gave me an honest, or I'm sure you gave me an honest opinion all the time. A couple times you gave me an opinion where it's like, maybe,
Yeah.
not what I say, maybe a little more. And a lot of times you were like, yeah, that looks right with the right speed.
Yeah, we'll get to one of those. I'm not sure in a second here. We skipped the 7th hole because the green had been damaged 2 days earlier, which that was a whole weird thing. It was only going to be a 17-hole tournament.
Crazy story. So the pipes burst under it. Crazy pictures of it. It looked, when we were walking by it, the grounds crew had done an incredible job of getting it nearly playable, but it's huge damage. So everybody took a 5 on that hole. It's a par 5. It's a scoreable par 5. It's probably the closest thing to a birdie hole on that course. If you hit a good drive, you were going to have a mid-iron into a par 5.
Yep.
So probably damaged scoring overall. I'd say to the field, that probably hurt scoring, if anything. But
Yeah.
but everybody took a 5 on this hole, which is kind of crazy in a U.S. Open qualifier.
Yeah. Your chips onto the green on 1 and 2. There was a moment with both of those that we were like, ooh, please don't get away. Please don't get away. Please don't roll off the green. But not super scary. I would say the first sort of scary moment came off the tee on number 8, where you pulled your driver, and we kind of suddenly realized, oh, there is a creek and some red stakes over there, and we might be close to it.
Yeah, so this hole it's sort of like a split fairway with a creek running down the middle of it. And in the practice round, I had just hit a 3-wood and hit a good 3-wood. That does leave a long way in. That left like 200 in. Both the other guys pulled driver, and I think Connor was a little longer than me. I don't think Ryan was longer than me when I hit my driver well. And they just took a line that made me go, that is the safer play. And this 3-wood's new to me, and I'm hitting it well, but I've said often, it's the only club. 3-woods are the only club in my bag where I feel like there is a top in there. There is a heel top that's theoretically possible here. And with nerves, I just was reticent to pull out this 3-wood all day. So that was the first time where I would have hit 3-wood in a casual round. Pulled driver, maybe tried to get a little extra out of it, and just pulled it. And it was about 3 feet from a creek in the trees. There was a marshal over there who found it, was pointing to it. I thought he was saying it was in the creek.
Right.
And then so I was literally starting to pull out a ball, and you're like, no, it's right here. And so it was not in fine shape, but it was safe. And so I punched out. It was a great punch out, Brian.
It was a really good punch out.
It was my best shot. No, not my best shot. But it was. I joked with you. I was like, Brian, that was a perfect punch out. I'm glad you got to see that. You know. So I ran it up to
100 yards.
100 yards,
Yeah.
and I hit a shot that looked. I mean, again, it's way up the hill.
Yeah.
And it looked perfect from where we were standing. It got back onto the back fringe. It was probably 18 feet, maybe. And I 2-putted from there for another bogey, Brian.
Yeah. This was, I don't know if you remember this, but we were kind of talking about what the second half of the putt did once it got closer to the hole. I really saw it going right.
Yeah.
And it didn't. And I don't think you saw that in there. So
I did not.
At this point, I just want you to know what I was thinking was like, I'm the worst caddy ever. I have not helped him a single time on the green. Now I'm telling him the wrong thing. I was praying that you were going to make that comeback putt because I felt like it was going to be my fault if you didn't make that comebacker. So this was I don't know, you probably didn't realize it. This is the last time I gave you any putting reads at all, unless you like specifically asked me for it. But like after that hole from 9 onward, I did not go stand behind it with you. I kind of just like let you do your thing, and for the most part, I think you did. And I mean, that's not to say that there weren't some adventures on the green still, but I think that just ended up working out better. But you maybe didn't even realize that.
I didn't realize it, but I did like. I think I didn't notice it at that hole, but by the end of the round, I knew that the main thing we were doing was like, I knew I needed to pick my own line. I know how hard I'm going to hit it. I know how, I know what I'm seeing. So I basically needed you to tell me. There were a couple that I could, like, that were very close. Is it going right or left? It could go either. And I was like, hey, what do you see here? I see it going a smidge left. You see, and, you do your feet thing. And your feet thing is different. You feel it with your feet. So I'm like, okay, you know what? This one, my eyes aren't seeing 100%. Yeah, it's funny. Now that you say it, I guess I can remember the conversation. I haven't thought about it one time since, including on the next hole. But, like, I did see it just going left.
Yeah.
And then you said, I think at the end, the last few feet, I think it's going to be moving right. And then it did just sort of fall short and left. And it was like, it was a fine putt. I mean, it was not like, I don't remember exactly where it wound up. I know I made the next putt. I don't remember how badly I missed it.
Yeah, it missed on the left side and it rolled out to about 4 feet, and you put it back in. As we were walking up to the ninth tee box, you still hadn't hit a great drive that day, and so I kind of gave you some thoughts. I said, let's have a nice slow tempo, and let's no sway, because sometimes you can sway a little bit or slide towards the target a little bit. I said that, and you hit your best drive of the day, and so from then on, I just kept saying it every driver hole, which probably made you want to hit me over the head with your driver, but you did hit a great one there.
It's funny because I did hit a good drive. It's funny because it did. On that hole, I think it helped me because I think maybe I'd been a little quick, and the last driver swing had been low left. So I was like, yeah, that's a good thought here. Just be sure to make a full turn is all I took from that. But it's funny because like the slow tempo thing is not something that's not a swing thought that works for me, but it did in that moment. Right. When I'm driving the ball well, I swing hard.
Yeah.
And my tempo is, I hope not quick. Sometimes it can get quick, but it's not Ernie Elsian. Well,
Sure.
It's more John Rahm than it is Ernie Els or Freddie Couples. Or it's like it's sort of back full extension and exploding as hard as I can, kind of thing. And so that wasn't working though, and so I needed to make that full turn, and that is why I hit a good one there.
Yeah, you mentioned that you and Ryan are about the same length. You both hit good ones that ended up identical in the same spot pretty much on the right side of the fairway. I don't remember your yardage in. This was a par 5, not reachable, I believe.
No, it was like 330 to the front of the green or something, which made my next shot completely inexcusable. There is a fairway bunker right in my landing area to the left, so understandable in the sense of wanting to avoid that, but it was my worst shot of the day by far. I hit a hybrid that I was just trying to get up to, 80 to 100 yards, and I kind of hit it like a toe slice, I guess is what you'd call it, and it went over a tree and into... We thought we might find it because it's a hazard. It's red staked, but it's not water. So, there was plenty of chance to find it. We did not find the ball. Had to drop on a severe uphill because of where it went out. Hit an unbelievable 5-iron. That might be my best shot of the day, honestly. So suddenly hitting 4 ball, at my thighs.
Yeah.
Hit like a low hook from almost 200 yards and ran it onto the green where it was like 20 feet away maybe, and 2 putted for bogey. But, if you include the hole we didn't play, but at that point I'm now 9 over through 9, which was not the most exciting.
It's par 35 on each side.
Yep. So I shot 44 on the front, which not excellent, not the best.
Yeah.
But I did feel like I was playing okay. So it was frustrating in a couple ways, just in that like I felt like I'm actually hitting the ball okay. I'm missing some short putts here, and that's why I shot that.
Yeah. As we take the turn, we're going to take a break to thank one of our sponsors. FanDuel right now is offering the Lakers to win on the road Game 1 tonight, which has already happened by the time the listeners are listening to this. Plus 200 for the Lakers money line on the road in Denver, or minus 245 for the Denver money line, or you can take the Nuggets minus 6 if you just want a straight bet. What's your call for tonight?
I love the Nuggets.
Okay.
I think the Nuggets are a better team. I would love the Celtics-Lakers matchup. The Nuggets are winning that game and winning that series.
And what do you think about this boost from FanDuel? Nikola Jokic, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis, all 3 of them, to each score 5 points in the first quarter, boosted from minus 105 to plus 160.
I think there's a reason they give you boosts, and so don't take it.
Okay.
Don't take it. Make your own boost. If they're offering you that free money, it's not free money. That's my belief.
I am going to put $10 on that boost, and I'm gonna make $16. I'm gonna rub it in Adam's face.
Can't wait. Can't wait to have that $16 rubbed all over my face.
And there's the title for the episode. All right, so we take the turn. We head to hole number 10. It is a dauntingly long par 3.
Yeah, it played 258 in the practice round. They had it moved up a few yards, so I think it was like 251, and then like 260 over the back. But it did move me from a 3-wood to a hybrid. Is that true? Is that what I hit?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Or you came back. Didn't you come back right at the end?
Yeah, because I actually had a 4-iron in my hand and
Yes.
realized that no, I can't get that there. I had seen people when I was on the practice screen. I had seen people hitting into it and realized that like that green, even though it's uphill 260 over the back, which is crazy for a par 3. But it does, even though it's uphill, if it hits in front, it runs on. So I was sort of like, okay, I can hit like a low drawing 4-iron, and I think it'll get up there. And then it just was like, no, I can't get this there. And so I grabbed the hybrid and hit it very well. Thought it came up just short of the right. So I aimed at the right side. It went at the right side. Did not think, once again, for the 5th time of the day, did not think it could get to this kind of back right bunker. Found it right in the middle of the back right bunker.
Yeah.
Hit a good bunker shot from there to 15 feet, maybe 12 even. But missed that putt and made a bogey. Brian, just a lot of bogeys to this point in the round.
Yeah.
And so 10 over through 10. On 11, hit a ball that thought it was really good, actually. I don't know if the wind was that way a little bit or what, but I was trying to hit a fade, and it just kind of turned right. Mm-hmm. And suddenly, I'm like, oh, do we need a provisional? And I did hit a provisional. I declared Rule
13B?
Rule 13B. You got to say that. You got to say that, or else you're just hitting a mulligan in the U.S. Open qualifier.
Or you got to say provisional. You got to say one of the two.
So I just said provisional. Hit a great provisional. Best drive of the day. Just, but found my ball, fortunately.
Yeah.
Under a tree. Really did not think I could get it there. And then sort of saw this window. I don't know if you remember this. I was just sort of like looking at a punch out to the bottom of the hill short of the green. Mm-hmm. And I said, like, what do you think would happen if I hit like I think it was a 7-iron, and if I could keep it under the far right side of this branch and carry it most of the way there?
Yeah.
And I said that, and I was like, no, I don't know if I can do that. And then I'm like, you know what? What am I protecting against?
I think I said to you, yeah, as soon as it gets on the ground, it's gonna start running right, which was pretty obvious. It's a pretty big slope.
Mm-hmm. And I said to you, it's gonna be drawing, so that's fine. Mm-hmm. And sure enough, I hit a punch 7-iron, drawing under the right side of that branch, carried most of the way, hit right into that hill, ran up, and maybe 18, 20 feet probably?
Yeah, maybe 20 feet, right on the fringe or right on the edge of the green.
That was probably the best shot of the day overall. Just from a sheer difficulty level, I think that had to be probably the highest level of execution.
Yeah, plus you were coming off the is my ball even in play first drive, and then to find it and then to hit that recovery shot. Both of your playing partners were on the other side of the fairway, but you got some audible great shots, maybe even a clap from somebody. I don't
know if it's a round of applause when one person claps, but if it is, that round of applause.
That's what happened. So while you're waiting to play your third shot to hit this 20-foot putt, Connor gets himself in quite a spot of bother.
Yeah, deep bunker on the right side, and he's just a great player. It took a fairly precise shot, but not a crazy difficult shot. Just had to get it up. The lip was high.
It's like over his head. That's how deep the bunker is.
And it took him 4 to get out of there. So he hit one that went into the face, another that then, from the face kind of hit up on the lip, rolled back to his original spot, another one that rolled back to the original spot, and then his fourth got out. So again, I was not rooting against either of them.
Right.
At all. It did put me at ease a little bit, where I'm just sort of like, oh, really good players make a mess of these things. And then the other player, Ryan, he actually four-putted that green.
Yep, he did.
And so, did that make me feel better when from my spot 20 feet away, another three-putt bogey? No, it didn't make me feel that much better. But, it's better than it could have been. Better than the next hole was, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I think as we were walking, we walked to 12. It's a shorter dogleg right par 4. You hit your tee shot, and I think as we were walking to get your ball, we both commented about like, hey, at least we're avoiding disaster out here after just having seen it on the previous hole. We end up finding your drive in a fairway bunker about maybe 100 away from the green to an elevated green.
Yep, hit a really good gap wedge from the fairway bunker to 25 feet. I don't know, 25 feet. And I ran that one probably 4 or 5 feet by. I just barely missed the 5-footer coming back. Then I had probably a 2.5 footer, I'd say. And that one lipped out as well. So it was a 4-putt double. On 12.
So
that stung. So that put me back to I just felt like I had so many opportunities to just get on track, and at that point I'm 13 over through 13, and I'm like, okay, I'm not playing. I guess I'm not playing well. I felt like I was playing well, but the score says that I'm not playing well. So I'm 13 over through 13.
Couple notes on that green.
Or no, 12 over through 12.
12 over 12, that's correct. A couple notes on that green. Number one, you now finally have 4-putt after 5-putting 2 weeks ago.
I 5-putt and I 4-putt, and I started the season truthfully saying I've never 4-putted in my life. I don't think I have.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
if I had played these greens my whole life, I would have 4-putted a lot of times.
That's
true.
true.
To be clear, but wow, what a thing to start the season with, and then do it on the biggest stage I'll ever play on, maybe.
Yeah. Well, I'm not a believer in the quote unquote golf gods, but those who are would say that you had it coming.
Clearly.
The moment we opened the podcast with that, they were like, "Oh yeah, you're not only going to 4-putt this season, you're going to 5-putt too."
I want to be very clear. If the golf gods are angry, if the golf gods are real, and if they're angry, it's your fault. I did not bring this up. You started the first episode of this podcast ever with a man who's never 4-putted in his life since the Clinton administration. And at the time, I was a little bit like, okay, I guess this is a thing we're doing. And now here we are. I told you that privately, in confidence.
Listen, you had every opportunity to be like, Brian, we don't speak about it. I'm capable of 4-putting. I am not better than the golf gods. And no, you leaned into it. You lit up like a kid on Christmas morning. You're like, let me talk about the fact that I am incapable of putting more than 3 times.
Well, I am, Brian. I am. On really hard greens, it's possible. It's conceivable.
Apparently, Pilgrim's Oak has really hard greens.
Rickett's Torso has the hardest greens in existence. No, but I mean, seriously, if I did putt on rolling green all the time,
yeah,
it would happen plenty.
Yeah.
It would happen plenty.
They're big and they're fast.
They're big, so you can leave yourself. So they're very fast and very difficult, and you can, on those very difficult fast greens, easily leave yourself 70 feet.
Yeah.
And so it's like,
yeah,
it's a different thing.
The other thing about that green is that I took a few random videos throughout the day, bunch of putt videos, and you made 1 or 2 of them. A few of them you missed as well. I did get the second of those 4 putts. I did get on video, and I might share that one because it's a short putt. It's, I don't know, 5 or 6 feet, and you had to start that thing so high above the hole,
Yeah.
and also hit it so softly, and yet you just see the thing break across the face of the hole, and then roll out to 3 or 4 feet. It's a good showing of just how hard those greens were.
Yeah, it's a different game. Completely different game. When we played Honeybrook, a couple days after this, I was just like, putting's the easiest thing in the world. It's not even hard. You can just wrap the ball at the hole and it'll stop. It's not going to run by. But
so yeah, you mentioned that plus 12 through 12 felt like you were playing well, but wondering why the score wasn't reflecting it. After you hit a good tee shot on 13, I did take, and then you hit your approach. You pulled it a little bit into a greenside bunker.
Yeah, so the drive actually ran like a foot off of the fairway into thick rough, and there was a tree that I needed to try to cut it around. Once again, tried to cut it out of thick rough, and
Right.
it just went dead straight into a bunker.
So yeah, at that point, we kind of split up because I had to take a different route with your bag. And so I did record this minute-long sort of, here's how I was feeling about your round to this point. And again, you've not heard this yet.
All right, we're walking up hole 13. I'm finally by myself, so I can jump on the recorder here. Adam's playing well today. Full swings. He's not been sharp, but he's been good. And honestly, good enough. Keeping things in play. He's been flushing his irons to the point where we had one too much club in his hand on a few holes, including the first 2. And hey, that's my job as the caddy. That's my bad. But he's been hitting full shots really well. Around the green, he's been great. It's really just been the putting. And these greens are not easy. We've seen it with our opponents as well. Man, those 4 to 8 footers, you have to treat them with such respect, and they take so much break when they slow down. He's grinding. He's not going to be happy with his putting performance, but if he keeps making full swings like he's doing, he's got a lot to be proud of. So I'm going to try to help him finish strong here.
There you go.
I like it. It's good.
That's how I was feeling. Yeah.
So out of the bunker from there, another one where it's just like there were spots where it's like when people talk about being real short game wizards, the Phil Mickelson short game wizards,
The witches, short game witches.
the witches. You're a witch out of the bunker, Gary. That could be a T-shirt someday. You're a witch out of the bunker, Gary.
I don't think it was Gary.
It wasn't.
No.
Too bad.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna remember now who it was. It'll come to me.
But I think it was Gary. But I hit this is like a 2-tiered green, pin in the back, and I hit a shot that I thought was great. I really when I hit it was like, oh, that's gonna be nice. I couldn't see, so I went up and looked at it, but I couldn't see where it went. I was expecting to get some great shots, and this thing just started moving right and right and right and right and right, and then it was 50 feet from the hole. At least it just ran all the way to the front. Then I hit a phenomenal lag putt.
Yeah.
From 50 feet to 1 inch left of the hole, and just tapped it in for bogey. I was like, okay, that's good.
That was incredible.
Could have used that. Could have used that before now.
It was incredible. Ryan hit an amazing approach that hit the back of the green, spun back to like 6 inches. So he had a tap in birdie. But yeah, when you're lining up this like 60-footer, I'm not trying to put bad thoughts into the atmosphere, but I'm thinking like, please like hit this close. This is not an easy putt. This is likely going to be a 3-putt, and I'm just hoping it's not a 4-putt. And then you put it to like 2 inches. I was like, here we go.
Yeah.
Now we're getting some momentum.
So now I'm 13 over 13.
Yes.
So I'm just pleading, like, because again, it feels like it has felt the whole time like if I keep playing like this, it's gonna be better than this. It has to be. I have taken advantage of how I'm striking the ball as little as possible.
Yeah.
So another long par 3 is hole 14.
Yeah. It's got this death trap of a bridge that you have to walk over after you hit your tee shot. Um, what was that hole playing? Like 225, 235 ish?
I think it was 235 pin is what I think what we said, and it was like 248 over the green is my memory. Does that sound right?
That sounds right.
And I watched both the other players hit a little less club than I thought they were going to. So I planned to hit a hybrid. They both hit. I kind of glanced. You can't ask, but I glanced, and I think I saw a 5-iron. Or you know what it was? I glanced and saw that the 4-iron was still in someone else's bag. Mm-hmm. And so I hit the 4-iron instead of the hybrid. And I hit a really solid 4-iron right into the left side of the green, kind of swung back around, and I had maybe
35 feet.
35 feet. And this putt was, I think I can genuinely say, the craziest putt I had all day. I stood behind it, and the other, Connor's caddy, asked me if I needed a wipe, and I said I was good. Even though clearly you weren't going to wipe it, but
Wow.
It's fine. No.
That really hurts my feelings. Shame on me. A ball. So what's the deal there? A ball that lands on the green like that is probably going to have mud on it. Obviously, that's the point where you can clean it. So I should have been offering you a wipe.
No, I'm just kidding.
Unbelievable.
I just said no, I'm good. It was a clean ball. It was a clean golf ball, Brian. It didn't need a wipe. So he was just
It was over. He was trying to make me look bad. Is what
overreaching.
He
was overreaching. That guy. Unbelievable.
No,
I liked him. He and I talked a bit. I liked that guy.
Yeah.
So I had a putt that was straight back to the front of the green, and when I tell you that I aimed 45 degrees right of the hole, it's more than that. It was close. It's closer to 90 than 45. I aimed almost straight to the right. It's for a 35-foot putt. I was thinking I need to hit this putt 8 to 10 feet out to the right, and I hit it out to the right, and it just snaps left, and is just trickling and trickling and trickling, and it's right at the hole. And I'm like, oh my gosh, is this thing gonna stop short? 6 feet of the hole, it was moving so slowly.
Yeah.
You could not believe that it was going to get there, and it trickled one revolution at a time. You could have read the Titleist on that golf ball the whole way, and just fell in the center of the hole for a birdie. It was crazy. That was the hardest putt I had all day, and the first putt I made all day.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was an awesome moment. You sheepishly got the ball out of the hole. You acted like you'd been there before, which was fantastic. And we walked off that green with a 2 and a circle, which was awesome.
A circle. Needed a circle. Boy, did we need a circle.
Yeah, really needed that circle. So that brings us to 15 now, 4 left.
Yep, and I hit a kind of a weird drive that nearly skimmed the ground in front of us, but got out but in the fairway, 120 yards left, maybe 130. Hit, I think, a 9-iron that looked better from so many greens, so many elevated greens on this golf course.
Yeah.
It's just you always feel like you're hitting blind into an uphill green. Another one that I thought it might be, if it got the right kick, could be 15 feet. If it got the wrong kick, could be 25 feet. And we get up there and it's 45 feet.
Yeah.
And uphill left to right putt, and I left it 6-7 feet short probably. And then stepped up, and for the first time all day, made the par putt. Made the par putt. Needed it.
Yeah. I feel like you said, I can't remember what you said. I feel like you said you were vocalizing something. Like you knew it was going to move left to right, and you kind of challenged yourself to put a good stroke on it.
Well, I knew almost, so there were, with a couple exceptions, the vast majority of these shorter putts I had missed had been left to right swingers.
Yeah.
And I felt like my right hand didn't get through, and I just kind of started them. They weren't bad putts. None of them were oh, what a terrible stroke. They were all okay, you didn't put a full stroke on the left to right, or started a millimeter right of what you're thinking, and on these greens, that's too much. You have to start it on the line you're trying to start it on. So these left to righters that were just diving right because I didn't commit to the stroke. And so I was kind of saying I just need to put a good stroke on this left to righter. Start it on the line I'm saying. Miss it high, for goodness sake. Like,
Yeah.
do not miss it low. And it went right in the heart.
Yeah. So follow up the birdie with a par. That's awesome. We go to the par 3 16th. Just a little like wedge or 9-iron in.
Yeah, pitching wedge.
Pitching wedge.
Hit a good
Yeah.
solid one. Maybe 15 feet left of the hole.
Yeah. Great shot.
I did miss on the wrong side of the hole though. Had a downhill putt that I got really scared of, and actually, only time all day left it well short, like
Yeah.
3.5, 4 feet. But another left to righter made the par putt. It's like, where's this been, Brian? Where's it been?
Yeah. So yeah, great stretch. I knew at that point that the co-leader of the day, who was in at 3 under, had aced that hole earlier in the day. That must have been a nice feeling.
2 shots better than me on that hole. I'll tell you that.
But hey, we got our par. Now we got a par 5 and a par 4 to finish.
Yep. So I hit my drive a little right, but that's the place to miss. Had a little tree trouble that I didn't really think I could get into, so it was the place to miss, but I didn't miss a little further right than I thought. Tried to cut a hybrid. Have you heard this before? Tried to cut a hybrid out of this rough, and it didn't cut, and it went right into a fairway bunker 80 yards short of the green. Was really frustrated with my shot from there, where it's just like all I needed to do is hit it perfect, Brian.
Right.
I just needed to hit it, to just clip this thing perfect, and I just got sand, and it went 60 yards instead of 80 yards, and just was in the fairway. Bumped it, kind of bump and run up the hill to maybe 10 feet. Missed the 10-footer, made bogey on the par 5, which was disappointing, but fine.
Yeah.
Not a disaster.
Avoided disaster. We were running out of holes at that point.
That's right. I kept saying disasters.
That. Yeah, we
kept saying that. Final hole. I think I got a little drawn into the fact that I realized I saw the line. This happened a couple times to me. I saw the line that these other guys took, and they knew the course better than me. It was pretty clear to me that they knew the course a little better than me.
Yeah.
And I realized, oh, that is my line. I can, especially the one guy, I can hit it as far as him. That is the line I should hit it on. So I took a much more aggressive line, but instead of just committing to that line, I tried to swing harder for some reason because I hadn't thought I could carry. It's a big dogleg right with these bunkers that I didn't think I could carry. And at that point, I overswung a little bit and pulled it kind of left into the rough, made it a really long shot. Kind of because as it went left, it was just getting further and further away from the hole.
Yeah, it kind of dog legs up to the right. When both of those guys hit really good towering drives over that aggressive line over the bunkers, I wasn't close to you. I wasn't close to the tee box, and then you walked up, and I was thinking to myself, I really hope he doesn't, like, all of a sudden think this is a driving contest,
Right.
and try to just get too much into this. You didn't hit it on the right line, and it didn't really cost you that much, but a little bit.
I don't think it was because like a driving contest thing. I don't think I was trying to hit it past them.
Yeah.
It just was that suddenly my plan for the hole was disrupted, where I was like, oh, why would I hit it where I think I'm going to hit it, where I'm thinking of hitting it, when I can just hit it on that line. But because that was so different than what I was thinking, there was still a fraction of my brain that was like, you need to get this one, and I hit it hard.
Yeah.
but left. And so that left me, I think it was 215 up the hill, into the 18th green, kind of uphill the whole way. I hit a 4-iron. I felt like I should have hit the hybrid just out of the rough. Hit the 4-iron, and the rough just caught it, and it just came out so low.
Yeah.
I didn't think it had a chance to get there. It was right on the right line, just kind of drawing in, 20 feet off the ground the whole way, and it took a hard hop up the hill and bounced right into the middle of the green. I was really, really, really happy with that.
I feel like the thing was still moving, and one of your playing partners kind of gave you the thumbs up, great shot, which was awesome to hear. Because like you, I didn't think the thing was going to have enough steam to get up there. But yeah, it left you with pretty long look at birdie, but you were putting.
Yep. Ran that putt. It looked really good to me. I told you that on the green even, I think. I don't know what it looked like from up close. From my spot, it looked like it was tracking the whole way. Maybe had a little too much steam. Thought it might hit the hole and go in. Missed on the low side barely and ran 4.5 feet by, which was a little unfortunate because it was above the hole.
Yeah.
But another left to righter downhill. The guy in front of me had just run a similar putt 7 feet by.
Yeah.
But I made the putt and finished the round. So I started 13 over through 13, then played the last 5 at even. So,
Yeah.
I mean, you could go different directions with that. You can just say, hey, it's good to close strong. You can also go the direction of, wow, I had 37 putts through the 17 holes that we actually played. So if you count 2 putts on that par 5 that we didn't play, that's a 39 putt round. And it's a lot of putts, Brian.
It is. That is a lot of putts. That's 14 more than I took at Ricketts Torso during my best round ever.
14 more. And so I haven't kept stats this year, but I looked in my stats for last year whenever I kept them. I averaged 31.5 putts around. So, 7.5 putts more than my average. And it's like, boy, even if you don't say, okay, these are tough greens, even if you don't say, okay, he's going to have 30 putts this round, even if you get that down to 35 putts, which is not good. That's at least you're in the 70s,
Yeah.
So it just was so much wasted on the greens. The fact that if you had told me you're going to have 39 putts at the beginning of the round, I would have said I'm going to shoot 95. That's probably doesn't make sense statistically, but when you I would have said I need to putt okay to do well. So to putt as badly as I can putt and have it be an 83 sort of feels like, okay, well, I must have been playing pretty well otherwise.
Yeah. So you played well. I felt like after that birdie, and even then after the par after that, you had a little bit of an extra skip in your step, a little bit of a bounce, and rightfully so. You were kind of... couple of times I noticed you were walking, like swinging your arms, doing a little bit of a hand clap in front of you. Like I could tell you were like really savoring the moment. Like, hey, I came, I did this, I didn't blow up. I actually hit a lot of good golf shots today. And like, I thought it was pretty cool. And is that kind of how you felt as you finished?
As I finished, I think the main thing I felt was... and I think I said this to you. It's a little premature to say this, probably. I think it was like on the 16th hole I was saying to you. Like, I think overall I was so nervous about this because of how the previous USGA event had gone and that I've never played great. And I understand that, like, listen, 83 in a US Open qualifier is not... Nobody's going to notice that. It was... I beat 20 people. I think I beat 19 people. I think is the number. So it's not in a 108 person field. I beat 19 people, and so nobody's noticing me that day.
No.
Obviously, I was in the bottom quarter of that field, but it did make me feel like, first of all, could have gone better, pretty easily, and it went well enough from a ball striking perspective for me to feel like it changed what my goals can be, honestly, where it's like, I played on, that was maybe the hardest course I've ever played in a certain way, at least from that distance under those conditions. I think it would be at least easy to argue that might be the hardest course I've ever played with the most pressure I have ever played. And I putted terribly and shot 83.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, so I've talked about playing in a Philadelphia Open qualifier here, and that, you don't need to shoot 2 under par to get into that thing. You need to shoot 77, 78. And before this, I would have said, can I go do that when it matters under pressure? And after this event, I feel like, yeah, I can absolutely go to any course in the area under any conditions, and I can go shoot 77 or better. So it felt like, despite, again, I'm going to say it again, 83 is not anything anyone's noticing. It's not anything to write home about.
The folks on TikTok will certainly let you know that in the comments.
Yes, there were a few, but lots of people were very nice on TikTok, but there were a few people pointing out that telling me that I should not have been in a qualifier if I shot 83. Okay, whatever. It's my 83 with a 75.1 course rating and a 148 slope was like a 6 handicap round. It was like my handicap differential was like 6.1.
Right.
So I feel fine. Again, not good enough to qualify for a U.S. Open, obviously.
Yeah.
But I did feel like just hitting the ball well in that context and getting around an extremely difficult course made me say, there's not a lot of things I'll be afraid to do in the future, and that's an exciting thought.
That's great. That's good. That's awesome. With regards to your "it could have gone better" comment, just want to shout out to your cousin Jeff, who appreciates every time that you say it could have gone better.
Yeah, he's always told me that as a kid. Whenever I hit a bad shot, I would just say that if I'd hit it, maybe the right distance, but I'd be like, well, if that hadn't sliced, it would have been perfect.
If that was perfect, it would have been perfect.
If it was perfect, it would have been perfect. Yeah, so I do that still. I still do that probably. But all I needed to do was one less 4-putt would have been good. A couple less 3-putts. Getting into the 70s at least and being, T50 instead of T90.
Yeah.
It was right there, and I could do it next time. I believe that.
Well, I want to say proud of you for playing well, for stepping up, for being the man in the arena. And it was a fun day. I was happy to be a part. And I will be sending you the invoice for my services at some point here.
Sure.
In the next month. So, all right. So in past years, your big event has been at the end of a season usually.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's not gone well, but regardless, there's not a whole lot to look forward to after it. But that's not the case here. We got a lot of golf to play.
It's the beginning of the year, Brian.
That's right.
It is spring. It's barely spring, and so we got a match this weekend. We got a team match.
We do.
And then all the big events that we would have planned on for this year are still to come. And
yeah. So
I'm going to drag you to the Phoenixville Open, whether you want to come or not.
We'll see. Old Brian, definitely not interested in that. New competitive Brian, possibly interested. We'll see. But check out this. On Friday, we're playing in our first round of the Honeybrook team match play. Got a really, really difficult draw with Barney and Ellis. Really difficult draw. So we're gonna need to bring our A+ games for that.
Mm-hmm.
Then on Saturday, we're gonna be joining a listener at beautiful French Creek Golf Club here in Pennsylvania. That's gonna be a lot of fun. A wonderful Gil Hance design. Then on Sunday, I have my first round of Pearsall Cup individual play. Have you seen the brackets for the Pearsall Cup yet?
I have not.
Okay, get this. You are one of a handful of golfers to get a bye out of the first round.
Why?
I don't know. I skimmed it. I think it looks like the lowest handicaps maybe have earned themselves a bye.
Sure.
I don't know if it was random draw or
we deserve it. We deserve it.
I have another tough draw. I got a first round match against DC Dave Campbell from Honeybrook, great guy and a really good golfer. If I can advance past DC, I got you next.
Stop it.
Yes.
Are you serious?
Yes.
We would play each other in the second round?
Yes.
That's crazy.
So I got to do what I can to get past Dave.
If you don't, you are failing our podcast. Is what you're doing. It's not that you're failing yourself, it's you're failing us. That's nuts.
Yeah.
Someone did that on purpose.
I
I'm
think
sure
so,
of it.
probably. So, yeah. So that's what we got to look forward to this week.
Boy, that cannot wait for that. That'll be a fun episode, huh?
Heck
That'll be fun.
I gotta pad my handicap between now and then.
Kind of.
No. All right, let's get out of here on that. Not padding my handicap. Wanted
No.
to go the other way. I wasn't started at a 5. I crept up to a 7. Now I'm back down to a 6. Don't like being a 6. Want to get lower. You also have crept up a little bit, haven't you?
Yeah, like alarmingly high. And so like I've been playing these, I've been playing out of state. I've been playing on these tough courses, not as many rounds at Honeybrook, but my handicap is currently up to 3.4 after putting in the round at Rolling Green, which is terrifying. I hate it.
Yeah. Don't say it like it's that gross. I don't want to offend listeners who are like trying to get into single digits.
Well, it's 2 strokes higher than I started the year at. That's bad, Brian.
This is true.
I think even the most sensitive of listeners will understand that 2 strokes higher than you started the year at is bad, and I don't like it. And yeah, I don't like handicapped events, so I've never been tempted to pad my handicap that way. I want to be
Right.
I want to be a plus handicap this year. That's my goal, and I still think I can get there. But boy, it's gone the wrong way so far. But I'm not upset with how I've been playing. Weirdly, I have not put up any great rounds.
You better hit that practice area because I'm coming for you in the Pure Salt Cup. I'm coming for you in your bye.
the buy that I earned, that I deserve. I deserve it.
It might have been randomly drawn out of a hat, but
No, I'll crush you, but that's fine. All right.
bring it on.
Competitive Brian is such a fledgling, that it's just sort of like, you don't have the experience, Brian, with competition. That's what it is.
You just wait and see.
But if I lose, it's because you're getting strokes. So.
I actually thought about how amazing would it be if I was getting like 2 or 3 strokes from you, and I was like, I don't want them.
I forfeit my strokes.
And you were like, no, you have to take them. And so then on each hole, after I hit my tee shot, I would just go up and tap the ball like a couple inches. Oh, what a power move! What a power move that would be. I'm not
a power move to lose by 5 instead of 8, or 8 instead of 5, I should say. But all right, I gotta go. I gotta get out of here. I gotta get out of here, Brian. Jeez, I can't be recording podcasts all day.
See ya.
All right.